Hi, I'm Emily, and I am 22 weeks and 5 days pregnant today, which is really exciting. It's gone by really super fast, and so I wanted to kind of sit down and talk about my pregnancy and things that I've experienced and been through, as it's my first and possibly only pregnancy. So 22 weeks, baby, according to the app, is a foot long, so like a foot long Subway sub, or an eggplant is the fruit or vegetable that they use this week. And then they estimate her to be about 1 pound. I had my anatomy scan 2 weeks ago, and she was estimated at 13 ounces, so probably around that, give or take a little bit now, at a pound. And then, so I'll kind of go through everything that happened. First of all, we conceived this baby through IVF. We had infertility for over 2 years. We started trying in 2013, the early part, and we were married in 2012. Our infertility was a male factor infertility. My husband had very severe poor morphology and less than 2% normal sperm. So they said our chances of natural conception was less than 5%. So it was really devastating diagnosis, but we kept trying. We knew it would happen eventually, and we kept trying naturally. Every month we do, OPKs and basal body temperature, and I do all these things to figure out when I was ovulating. I did ovulate every month, despite having what the doctor called a mild case of PCOS. I had physical symptoms, but I didn't have polycystic ovaries and ovulated normally. So our main issue was the male factor infertility, because if the sperm weren't normal, they couldn't fertilize the egg that I had. So we did some Clomid cycles initially, which were unsuccessful, and we considered IUIs, but insurance covered none of our infertility, which was awful. So we had to pay 100% out of pocket. So I had to save up before we could do anything, and pay off my loans from my schooling before we could do IVF. And we did it that way, which is nice, because now we don't have any loans for IVF like a lot of people that I know in the infertility community do. We just decided to save and pay for it through cash, and we couldn't afford to do it here. We live in Georgia. There's not many options here that are affordable. Definitely not in the town where I am in. There's only one option. So we traveled to CNY Fertility in Syracuse, which I love them. They were wonderful, and I would definitely recommend them or use them again if needed, because even though it was my first and only IVF experience, I really felt comfortable with them. They were really great and kind, and they just really felt like they cared. So we'll go through IVF. I had an antagonist cycle that I used, so I did not use birth control, and I did 150 international units of Brevel and Menopur, and my husband injected all of my injections, so total for the cycle was 92 injections that he did, and he was awesome at it. So even though I know he didn't want to do it, he was a brave soldier. And then I added in Ganirelix about day 4, because I did have a lead follicle at that time. It was a little early, so I was nervous, but it worked well. I stemmed for 11 days and triggered with Lupron on the 12th day. They retrieved 18 eggs, and I believe 11 were mature, and 10 of them fertilized, but we only had 3 day 5 embryos, and we transferred 2 of them on day 5 and froze 1. So 1 of the embryos stuck. Do not have twins, but I'm so thankful that 1 did stick because the odds were only about 50%. So I was kind of told myself that if it doesn't work, we'll just do it again, and just prepared for that. But we were blessed with the first cycle success. Let's see, my pregnancy, the very first week was wonderful because I was just so ecstatic. I didn't have any symptoms yet. I could eat normally. I think that's the last time I had fish because symptoms started about week 5. I started having spotting, which became bleeding, and I also had a really bad episode of right lower pelvic pains and bleeding, so we went to the ER for that because I was terrified of an ectopic or miscarriage, or, you know, it just kind of felt like too easy. I mean, we got pregnant on our first IVF, so I was just trying not to get too attached to this baby. I mean, that's impossible, but just trying to prepare myself as much as I could for a loss, which was awful, but never happened, thankfully. We were so blessed. She's fine. And through, I think about week 10, I had bleeding from like week 5 to week 10, on and off, not every day, but the majority of days I had some sort of spotting or bleeding. It was typically always bright red, very scary, but only for a few days it was associated with that pain. They never found out why I was bleeding or why I had pain. It was just kind of, it is what it is, and we'll cross our fingers, and you have a 50% chance of miscarriage, so pray. Besides the bleeding, around week 8, I started having a lot of nausea and vomiting. Began just as kind of just regular morning sickness, which to me was like, yay, baby's growing, this is normal. And it progressed to where I couldn't eat very much. I'd just eat maybe peanut butter sandwiches, chicken noodle soup, crackers, pretzels, carbs, basically. Couldn't stand the thought of fish. Would do some chicken, but that, I mean, it was very hard for me to eat a lot because I just didn't feel well. Some days I did, and some days I didn't. But about week 18, 19, the severe nausea vomiting got better, and now I'm eating normally again, which is fabulous because I lost a lot of weight. I lost about 22 pounds since conception, which was scary because I was also having a large amount of ketones in my urine, which my doctor said was, you know, signifying I was malnourished. I mean, I wasn't getting enough. But baby took everything I had. Luckily, I had plenty of extra for her to take. And she's doing well despite the fact that I had lost weight. So now that I'm eating normally, I'm assuming I'm going to start gaining weight. I've actually noticed my boobs have gotten bigger in the past week. My bra was way too tight, so I actually had to go bra shopping and go up because that is something that has happened recently. The only other symptom I have right now is lower back pain when I exert myself too much or try to, you know, just do too much, especially during the weekends. I try to get everything done for the week. But besides that, you know, I'm feeling great. Had my gender, I mean, I've already said she was a girl, but the gender scan was at 15 weeks and 5 days, and she was a girl, and it was confirmed at the anatomy scan at 20 weeks and I believe 3 days was when that was. And the anatomy scan I was really worried about just because of all the weight loss I'd had, but she's perfect and fine, and they found nothing wrong with any of her organs. Her heart was beautiful, her kidneys, her spine, her brain, everything just, they said, looked perfect. So I'm thrilled with that, more than anybody will ever know. But the main thing that I've had to deal with during this pregnancy actually has nothing to do with her. She's just kind of an innocent bystander for all of it. But it's actually when my husband left me when I was 14 weeks and about 3-4 days, 5 days, somewhere in there, for another woman that he later told me that he had had feelings for over a year, and this was 3 months after we did IVF. So I mean, that including that time when he was telling me he wanted this baby and injecting me and going through all these awful appointments and, you know, retrieval and everything, he apparently had feelings for somebody else. I had no idea. I was completely blindsided, devastated. I mean, my life was just ripped from me, and I didn't know if he was just scared about the baby and was maybe having, you know, a midlife crisis or something. He's 40 years old, I don't know, and was praying for reconciliation, and he would figure out what he was doing and what he was leaving, and just to at least try to work on it, not just, I mean, basically he just told me, you know, I'm not even going to try, peace out, bye, which was devastating. But I mean, I can't make somebody love me in order to want to. I mean, he was with me for 10 years. Actually, our 11th anniversary is next month, but I'm like, if you're with me for that long, wouldn't it be worth it to try, especially now that we have a child? But he's way too far gone. I don't know. I just was, had no idea. So, like I said, was praying for reconciliation initially. He was just cold and distant and ignored phone calls, texts, I mean, any type of communication from me, which was hurtful. But you know, if he didn't want to talk to me, that's fine. But over the past few weeks, he moved in with his girlfriend. He moved in with his girlfriend, and she just really became disturbing, vicious, and just nasty. And he's allowed it. Most of the time it was through his phone, and then it was also through, you know, Facebook messages, and he, you know, doesn't care that his girlfriend treats me like trash. So I mean, that's really devastating by itself, because I am the mother of his child. I mean, you can't just run away and leave me and expect to never contact me ever again. So why do it that way? Why not try to be kind and amicable about the whole thing? To me, it just baffles me. But he doesn't want to speak to me, so that's fine. I did file for divorce about 7 weeks after he left me, just because I realized that they were being so cruel that I would rather be by myself than to be treated so poorly. And what we had wasn't a marriage anymore, as much as that was, you know, hurtful, because I never wanted to be without him ever. And it's still hard, but I know it's for the best. And you know, he doesn't want to be married to me, so I can't just keep holding on, you know, hoping that he'll change his mind when he's made no effort. And that's the hard part, was that I understand if you don't want me anymore, but he has completely, I mean, he hasn't asked once how the baby was doing in the past several weeks, and he's missed doctor's appointments, lied saying he didn't feel well when he was actually at the beach with his girlfriend. So that's the hardest part. I get, you know, you don't love me, but how could you not love this child that we fought so hard for? You know, I mean, it wasn't an accident. It was, I mean, we wanted this baby so bad, and he actually had the nerve to tell his girlfriend that it was all me and that he didn't even want this baby. And that's the most hurtful part, because I can't imagine growing up without my dad. He was the best dad ever, and he would have never said he didn't want me. So, oh, that's just cruel. But as this may be the only pregnancy I have, which was also unexpected, but I'm just really embracing her and thankful and just so blessed for each